The numbers are in for the closeout of the month of April in the Reno Sparks housing market, and I'm gonna do a data deep dive for you guys, so make sure you're staying with me and paying attention. Of course, if you're watching this, what you really wanna know is how these metrics impact both buyers and sellers. So if you are in this market or you're thinking about playing in this market, make sure you watch till the end, because that's gonna be the most valuable summary of what all these data points mean. Let's preface this whole data deep dive with the fact that interest rates at the time of filming this video are at about 6.4% for a 30-year non-conforming loan. Of course, within that, there are a lot of variables depending on how much you put down, what your credit score is, and facts that have to do with the actual property that you are looking at. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that is the across-the-board rate for everyone. That is just the average, but that does have a major impact on the other data figures in our market. So without further ado, let's dive in. So at the closeout of April, the median sales price was $537,475. So just close to $540K, which this is the second month in a row that the price tag has gone up for median sales price in our market. As I've mentioned in videos from the recent past, we are seeing a lot more market activity. We're seeing a lot more inventory come online. We're seeing a lot more traffic and buyers at showings. So obviously, with competition and more demand, with the limited amount of supply that we have in our market, we are seeing that that is driving up the price tag. That is just the basics of economics, you guys. You all understand this already. Number of closed sales dropped month over month from March to April by 7.2%, landing at 412. Median days to contract. Okay, you guys, this is one of the biggest changes that we saw from March to April, and this is one of the biggest indicators of the market heating back up. So this number, median days to contract, essentially tells us how long it's taking for properties to get an offer accepted from the time that they go live on the MLS in our market. So that number dropped by 27.8%, landing at 13 days. So that number is obviously just a median. If we're looking at different pricing tiers and pricing levels, there are going to be variables, but median number is telling us that it's taking about half a month, about 2 weeks time, for the mid-level priced properties, especially those that are priced appropriately, to get under contract for sale. Percent of list price received just barely increased by 1.3%, landing at 99.1%. That's telling us that if properties are appropriately priced, sellers are still getting what they're asking for their listings. So that is a telltale sign of a pretty healthy market. Median sold price per square foot increased month over month from March to April by 3%, landing at $297. This makes sense. Obviously, the median sales price also increased. These two numbers are inherently linked, though they don't always move in the same direction, which is super interesting. All right, number of new listings had a pretty steady increase of 5.1%, coming in at 504 new listings month over month. As I'm telling you guys, the market is heating back up. We are seeing more inventory. However, there's still a huge scarcity in our market, which means that there is still a lot of competition, which is inherently driving price tags up a bit higher. And finally, months supply of inventory just barely increased to 1.6. 1.6 is still an indicator of a very strong seller's market. Statistically, in a balanced market, it's about 6 months supply of inventory. And so that 1.6 months figure indicates that we are still in a seller's market despite the higher interest rates. Now, we are going to dive into what this all means for buyers and sellers and how this might impact you if you are aiming to play in this market. If you are a buyer in this market or you're thinking about buying in this market, here's what you need to know. And if you're selling, make sure you stay and watch till the end, because that's coming up after this. Buyers, so with interest rates being in that 6.4% range, affordability is still a factor. We have to think about that, because obviously, your interest rate is going to have a huge impact on your monthly payment. We also have to be aware that price tags are starting to increase again. And obviously, some of this is seasonal. We always see a bit of an uptick in market activity in the spring season. And summer is usually when it gets super hot. People don't typically like to move or wheel or deal when it's cold out. It's just not convenient for anybody. So we are seeing signs of all of that happening in the market. So what is your opportunity, right? If you are thinking about buying, you want to know the best strategy. You want to know how it is that you can play ball and not lose your shirt, right? So basically, one strategy that we are seeing that's pretty effective in this market, that's helping combat both the affordability issue for buyers, yet helping sellers get what they need to clear their bottom line number for the sale of their home, is some creative financing strategies. And I've made some lengthier videos about this, so I'm not going to do a whole deep dive into it, but basically you could look at seller credits as one way to help both parties feel like they're winning, right? So an example of this would be a home that's listed at $500,000. You could offer $510,000, but then ask for a $10,000 seller credit. So the seller's still getting the $500,000 that they were asking for, yet you are getting $10,000 to buy down the interest rate, which is going to help with your monthly payment and make it more affordable for you. So that is one strategy that is pretty effective. It's still a clean offer. It's helping both parties feel like they're winning in this interesting market that we are now in. I would also say that because of the scarcity factor and because prices are going up, there's a lot of competition in the market. Every showing I've been to in the past few weeks has had stacks of business cards of all the other agents and their parties who have passed through for showings. So there's a lot more traffic happening, you guys, which means it's not the time to play games if you're a buyer. If you see a property you like, you need to act quickly and you need to come in with your strongest and best offer. There's no game playing, there's no mind games. It's really just offer what it is that you would feel comfortable paying. And people always ask me, what should I do? How should I offer? And the best advice I always give in every market really is offer the maximum amount you would feel comfortable paying, which wouldn't leave you with any regrets if you were to not get it. Because if you had, let's say, $5,000 of wiggle room and you didn't offer that $5,000 and then somebody else got the property for $5,000 more, if you were going to be left in a position where you'd feel regret for that, then you know that you should have just coughed up the money, because you don't want to end up feeling like you made a mistake. All right, let's talk about what these numbers mean for sellers. If you're thinking about selling your home, or if you're somebody who needs to sell and then buy, a lot of people after their first home tend to move up and they end up being on both sides of the deal. Sellers, this is a really good moment for you. You are seeing a lot more activity on the buyer side. You are seeing those price tags hold strong and even increase. You do have to be keenly aware that there is more inventory, significantly more inventory, 9.1% more inventory this month than there was last month. So that number is picking up. Again, this is a seasonal thing that we see almost every year, so that's not surprising, but it does mean that there are other listings that are competing for essentially the same buyers on your end of the deal. So you do have to think about that. You also need to be sensitive and aware that the interest rates are a major factor for buyer affordability. You should be prepared to negotiate and maybe look at some offers that have some creative strategies in place on the financing side, but overall, you are getting that 99.1% of your asking price across the board. So have an agent who is accurately pricing your listing. Make sure that you're looking at the appropriate comps for your listing, and make sure that you are prepared to play fairly yet have somewhat of the upper hand in this market. If you guys have any questions about the market or what it might be like to live in the Reno-Sparks area, I would love to be a resource for you. You can book a free call with me. It's no obligation, just an opportunity for us to hop on the phone and connect and see if I could answer any of your questions and help you devise your next and best steps for your real estate transaction. There's a link to do that in the description box below. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button. I put out new videos every single week about the Reno-Sparks housing market, the Northern Nevada lifestyle, and all things related to buying and selling real estate. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.